what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Brothers in Tech is a weekly podcast focused on personal and home technology, helping provide you, our fellow brothers and sisters in tech, with some information, assistance, and recommendations. That sofa you have in your living room, it's not just for sitting anymore. It may have some cool new features to enhance your sitting pleasure. In this episode of Brothers in Tech, the brothers discuss some of the ways that technology has been making its way into your furniture. From shopping to design, from power to lighting, we're here to provide you with some pros and cons of some of these new advancements. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brothers in Tech here on themesh.tv. My name is Alan Jackson, and over to my right, over there, is Brian Jackson. So
you were getting good at that.
I was practicing before the show. So
yeah, I was going to say we've had like eight takes at that. So congratulations on getting this one right. Yeah,
thank you.
Did you practice anything after that, or is that
nope?
That's it.
The rest of the episode is I have nothing to contribute. I've been working exclusively just on that directional thing with my fingers. So
not having any contribute is kind of the norm. So I think we're good to go. Yeah, okay. I'm good. Good, Alan. Good. Yeah, right? I'm doing well. I'm excited to do another show. Let's just put it that way. You know, whether I'm excited to talk to you, okay, right? We may not push it that much, but I'm excited to do another show.
We haven't talked since the last time we've recorded. So this truly is the only time we talk anymore.
Alan, I'm not sure the last time we talked outside of a recording at all. I mean, not just since the last recording. I mean, I really don't know the last time that happened. Yeah.
But you know, this is a case of technology is bringing family members together. Because if it wasn't for podcasting or whatever this is called,
I would never talk to you.
We wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
So God bless technology. So yeah.
Would that be better or not? No, this is good. This is good. I mean, this, you know, like I said, even when we started this podcast, even when you and I actually did talk off of a podcast, it was usually about technology. It was usually about trying to one up each other on either something we knew or something we had or something that we thought we were going to have. So might as well, you know, share this with the people. Right. All
right. Well, let's get right to the point of what we're actually going to be here to talk about. This is Brothers in Tech, as you can probably tell from our very poor banter leading up to this. Brian and I are actual brothers, and we are both keen on talking about home and family and personal technology and how that can be used in your home, your family, your pastimes, whatever it may be. And that's what we came together on this show to do. And every time we get together, we talk about a different aspect of technology, especially as it relates to your home or personal lives. And today is absolutely, I don't know how much more personal home life you can get than talking about furniture and the furniture that you have in your home and how furniture is colliding with technology more and more every day. We're going to talk a little bit about technology in your furniture tech, I guess you could say. What are some things that are happening in the world of furniture? What are some aspects where technology is starting to play a role? And what are maybe some pros and cons about that? And we can talk a little bit about any experience we may have with that ourselves. That's I would ask if that topic sounds okay to you, Brian, but you suggested this topic, so I'm assuming it's good to continue. So
yeah, it is okay. And I'll just mention, I think some people that might see the title of this show may think this could be potentially the most boring show ever if you're talking about furniture, right?
I will remind you, we did an entire episode about backup.
Well, but I'll also remind you, for the people out there, that you loved it. I mean, that was your baby. You said that was one of your favorite topics. So
it might be our most downloaded episode too, if I remember correctly. I'll have to go back and check the stats. You
don't count. You don't count.
I had like 20 different devices downloading it like 8 times each just to make sure we built those numbers up. So,
and you were backing them up. Yeah. But I will say that I think you're exactly right. This is about as close to home and home use, and exactly what this podcast should be about, right? The things that we could see every day. You're wearing a hat for Hickory, your hometown, which of course is known for its furniture and has been for a very long time. So I think this is a great great area to jump into.
We're just not well known for large wood structures. That's where we kind of fall apart. So
oh gosh, yeah, I heard. Should we have a moment of silence for the?
Well, I mean, it is giant heaps of wood. For anybody who's not familiar, I live in Hickory, North Carolina, and we had a beautiful, really great archway put up as kind of a bridge, as a gorgeous over a walking bridge. It's just a nice little entranceway into the city, and it's only been up maybe a few months now, and it fell down in the middle of the night. Luckily, no one was hurt, no real damage to anybody's property or anything else, but it was tough. It's tough. So some engineering, something fell apart on the engineering planning side of this, and there'll be a lot of discussions about that. But back to Hickory. Yes, Hickory is well known for furniture manufacturing. So not counting that, everything else that comes out of Hickory, really well constructed, well made things. That we're very proud of that heritage here. So yeah, I love talking furniture.
I just appreciate the fact you didn't bring up that the wood came from Oregon. So
that's right.
That was the problem.
I forgot about that.
I think both of us are kind of have a little egg on our face there. So anyway,
the wood, and I think the wood came from Oregon. You're right. You're right, and that's where you are. So okay, So we both have a little egg on our face today from that. All right, Brian, let's talk furniture then.
Let's do it.
So tell me, Brian. I'm going to start with you. Tell me one of the first ways that we're going to talk about that furniture and technology are coming together and have kind of collided and are starting to impact one another. What is that first way we get started with furniture?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing we should do is think, well, how do we go about finding the furniture and shopping for the furniture? Because this can be one of the most maddening aspects of the whole furniture process is actually trying to find something, right, that's going to work in your house, looking in a showroom and seeing, okay, I've got my tape measure. I got to figure out whether or not it's going to fit in my space, whether it's going to look good. I have to kind of guess at it. And one of the things I'm super excited about is how the advances that have been made in AR, which augmented reality, which we talked about in a previous episode, of kind of taking the reality of looking through a camera or looking through a digital screen at your actual world, and then augmenting that world with some digital images. And I've seen some really cool uses of how to visualize things in your own home by going on. IKEA has one, for example. IKEA has an app that allows you to say, well, this product. Oh, there we go. Look at that. So we say this product that you have on your website, IKEA, I'm looking at it and it looks like it's going to work well in my space, but maybe really hard to visualize what that actual dimensions would look like in the environment. So you say, I want that object. And then you pull up your app that is now showing your camera view of your space. So you can move it around and see everything that's in your space, but it will digitally place it in your environment. So incredibly cool. Alan, I don't know if you've used this particular one before.
Yes, I have.
But I mean, it's pretty impressive how it can take that. You can spin it, you can turn it, you can, show it right next to something. It looks like it's actually in the physical space. And for me, I mean, I have had this many, many times where I've gone in and tried to, get the dimensions of a piece of furniture, and maybe it's kind of a weird shaped piece of furniture, and it says, well, it's this high, but it's only that high at certain points, or it says it's this wide, but not all the way through. And you really just don't get a sense of what it's going to look like in your space until you get it home, or in this case, if you can virtually put it there. So to me, this is a fantastic use of technology for the furniture world, because it is solving a major problem, right? It's not like you can go and say, let me just try that couch at home and then I'll take it back, right? That is incredibly cumbersome. So I think this is a really cool use.
No, I completely agree. And I've become a big fan of it. I'll admit I was hesitant of it at first. I think in the early days, it was a little tough to make the technology work. I think I remember trying it out, kind of early adoption when places rolled it out as something you could do. I think maybe a Best Buy or something had tried to roll it out where you could put a TV set, see how that TV set would fit in your room. And early on, it was not terribly precise and not, didn't really work as well. But I've revisited recently, even with a Best Buy and a couple of places, and I have used the IKEA one, and it's great. You got to think from the furniture manufacturer or from the showroom, from the place selling the furniture. Think about it from their standpoint. If they can really motivate people to use this app to see how something's going to look in their room before they come to the showroom and buy it, the chance of having to deal with a return is so much less. Because that's the biggest problem with furniture is you're buying it and you're trying to mentally think about how it's going to look in your room. And I used to, before this technology existed, Brian, I would take a photograph of the room on my computer and put it in my computer and then grab an image of the furniture we're looking to buy, and we'll in Photoshop place it on top of there just crudely just to see how it would even work. But I know the dimensions and the angles and nothing is going to match up. It's just trying to get some idea. So I love this technology. I think it's great. I've seen more and more stores rolling it out. You do have to have a phone that is capable of doing a higher end phone. I will say in probably the last few years that will allow you to do the AR type work, because otherwise it's going to be a frustrating experience and not work as well. But you're right. It's such a great way of doing some early shopping for furniture before we actually get into it. Yeah.
Yep.
It's great.
No, I think I do think it's helpful to keep the number of returns down, because I'm sure that's somewhat costly. But I would maybe do a quick warning. And I think, Alan, throughout this, we should probably say, what's the pro and con of each of these technology advances? I would say the con of this might be that certain furniture stores want you to be in their store and see the furniture with their setup, because they know that at your home, it's not going to look quite as nice, but they want you to go ahead and make the purchase, right? So for some people, it might be like, hey, you know what? I'm not really sure I want you to see this in your home. I want you to see it in our beautifully organized kind of setup. And those might be the ones that say, you know what, come on in, right? We'd rather you see it here. Of course, they're also the ones that are going to charge a huge fee of restocking if you take it back, right?
Restocking fees. And then, you still don't have a sense for size. I don't even think this technology, I think it's fine to get a sense for how it would look in your room. To me, the biggest thing is dimensions. It's just hard to gauge how big something is, or if it's going to fit in a certain space. And that's really where the AR, augmented reality on your phone, can do that. So just so everybody's clear that is watching this, if you have a fairly modern phone, and I'm going to guess and say in the last 2 to 3 years, 3 years or so, definitely, I think your phone is more than capable of AR, augmented reality. It's not something you need to buy or add. It's already something built into your phones using their cameras. It's the app itself for the furniture manufacturer that's going to allow you to incorporate and use the camera and use this augmented reality feature. So it's not anything you need to go out and buy or add to your phone. It is something that is inherently there that these other store apps will tap into and use if you have that capability. So.
And I'll just mention real quick, Alan, the technology that has really ramped this up, that if you are someone who really wants to take advantage of this, look for what's called LiDAR, LiDAR. And if you hear that, hey, I'm purchasing, I'm looking at this phone or this phone, and one of them has LiDAR. LiDAR technology is basically, I think it's light detection and ranging is what that stands for. But really what that does is it allows the phone, there you go. It allows the phone to actually have, similar to, you've seen the electronic tape measures, where you can actually put the tape measure on one wall and it will send a beam of light to the other wall, get it back, and it's registering then not only how long it takes the light, but I think kind of the strength of the light as to how far that is, and it's pretty accurate. It's basically using a form of that, but a very advanced form of it. So if you imagine your phone is now, in a sense, scanning its environment as to how far away things are. If you can see something closer than something else, that's going to make the ability to augment that situation much, much cleaner. So that's the beauty of the phones that have lidar sensors built into them, is that you can start to get lots of really, really creative augmented reality things going on. So, and this is just one example of that. So I'd say that's kind of first step, right? Is how you actually find the furniture. That technology is helping in that way. And I'm sure there's plenty of other things that are happening in the shopping world, but that I think is a really powerful one.
I agree. I think that's the biggest advancement we've seen in furniture shopping. Now, when you're at the showroom or you're looking at furniture, you're going to start to see a lot more furniture options, especially when we're talking chairs and couches, places where you're going to be sitting. You're going to find a lot more charging or power options built into your furniture. For example, Brian, just thinking about the idea of looking at a charging port for your device, your phone or other device. I'm bringing one up here right now to show the idea of something built in to your piece of furniture that allows you to charge your device. Now, this is great. This also necessitates that your piece of furniture is going to have power going to it, because otherwise it would not be able to charge your device if it doesn't have power itself to do that. So you're also going to be looking at, I'll see if I can bring up the other one. I've got other options. Things are going to be built into your furniture. Talking about power is actually having like smart outlets also built in as well, or knowing that there's ways that you could plug other things in. The idea of your furniture being more connected, whether it be power or whether it be charging options to actually charge your devices. A lot more furniture is building this in now. And you're going to see that. I think it's going to be a selling point to some people. If you've got an option of a piece of furniture you really like, doesn't have any of these, but you've got one over here that looks the same, but has this capability in there, to know that you could actually charge your phone or charge your tablet while you're sitting at your couch and not having to reach over and find another outlet somewhere to do that, is a huge advantage, and really makes the furniture a little more functional as opposed to just attractive or comfort. So
it makes sure that, especially with sitting furniture, that you're going to sit for a much longer period of time than you were before, right? So now you don't have to get up to recharge on your phone. And I think a lot of this comes back to the fact that we, of course, are using our devices more, but we're using them in concert with our other entertainment options, right? Me sitting at a couch, rather than saying, well, I'm either on the phone or I'm watching TV. Well, now those things are starting to, gel together, right? I'm looking at something that's related to what I'm on TV, or I'm dual tasking, or while I'm here, let's go ahead and, charge up something that I'm going to be using. I think people are broadcasting from their phone a lot to the TV. They're, doing things that are going to be draining the batteries of that anyway. So I think these things are kind of cool. I think, to me, this has been around a while, right? Of built-in power. And I think it used to come from the entertainment centers. When we had these entertainment centers and we were going to have all these devices needing power within our entertainment center, the stereo, the DVD player, the VCR, the speakers, all of these things that needed power at the time, they were all in this cabinet. And, most of us know that a lot of times you would have a big extension cord or a big power strip in the back that you would then run to the wall because you didn't want 8 cords, coming out from the back of the furniture. So now, as you showed in that last picture, that opportunities for you to plug into the back of the furniture only have one cord then going, where to the outlet. So it looks cleaner, it's nicer. So I think there's a lot of cool things about kind of building power into where we would need it and not having to have a lot of other cords around. I think that's really the key, right? It's creating kind of a cleaner look for what you're doing. It
can, with one caveat, keeping in mind that now this piece of furniture has to have power getting to it
needs a cord
to begin with. Now, for some situations that won't be a problem. You may have a couch or a chair that's up against the wall. It's easy to plug it in, but there's a lot of places, a lot of spaces where furniture is out in the middle of the room. So it's just a consideration. Is that I think there's a lot of benefits to having the ports and the power available in your piece of furniture. But you got to make sure you know that if you got a couch on carpet in the middle of a room, okay, there's going to have to be a cord somewhere getting to that piece of furniture. So whether you have to run it along the floor, put something to cover it, or you got to go underneath the floor to do it, or put up an outlet in the middle of your room. There's just some things, if you're looking at aesthetics, that are going to be a little trade-offs for that.
Yeah.
In those situations.
So Alan, we just went through this recently, I should say the first time in a long time. I had a powered recliner when I was in college. That was an old, it was actually our grandparents that was a hand-me-down to us. But the power wasn't to help the recliner do anything, except it added, I think, heat and vibration, right? So it was like a massaging recliner, an old school, and it had power to it, and it just had this little motor in it that would vibrate. That has now changed dramatically to where all the things that move, all the things that do things in a recliner, in some sort of any couch that has a lift arm, any of that sort of thing, they've started adding power to that. So we recently just bought a couch for our movie room, and we wanted recliners because we wanted a couch that would have some form of recline because it's just my wife and I. It's the only two that are usually in there. We're facing right in front of the TV. And we wanted it to be as comfortable as possible without having an extra piece of furniture in front of us. So we found one, but our couch sits in the dead center of the room. And we had that same issue that you were talking about. It's like, this would be great to have this powered option, but where's the cord going to go? We don't have an outlet in the floor. We do have a carpet, so do we want to run it underneath the carpet to try to hide it and have this bump in the carpet as we're going to the wall? So what we did is we found, and these are very popular now as well, is that when you have a powered device, you can actually find battery packs to build in underneath that piece of furniture that would power your furniture. So we ended up buying a battery pack just last week. So now we don't have a cord going anywhere. We have a small battery. There we go. You got a small battery that sits underneath the recliner. Basically, there's a connection that was going to a cord. Now we took that off and plugged it into this device, and it can provide us, however much we need to be able to power that up. Now, here's the thing: if you're looking to do this, let's say you are interested in something that has power. In a recliner or a chair, and then you need a battery for it. Keep in mind that the amount of charge that the battery has or amount of power that it can provide really depends on how much you have in that recliner, what that recliner does. So you may be we were looking at recliners that had all sorts of different things. Like, hey, this one has a back lumbar. This one has a headrest that moves. This one has a recline that happens. This one has power. It has a Qi wireless charger built in, all of these things. But we started finding out that when you have things like charging, a USB port, a wireless charger, that is just going to constantly drain the battery that you have connected to it. Okay. So I'll give you a quick example. The site that you just pulled up there, that's where we actually bought our battery from, this Free Motion. And they have 3 different battery sizes: a 2,500 milliamp hour battery, the 5,000, and then the 7,500. And yeah, if you carry on down there, actually, I think you might have to go up to the products, Alan. Slide up to the top and click on the little hamburger and go to products. Yeah, batteries. And what you'll see if you slide down there, it'll give you a little chart. And this is pretty important because this is something you really got to think through a little bit about. What's the cycle? How many cycles that you should be able to go through, and how many of the motors that are going to be built in? Okay, so I had to be thinking. So we've got a sofa that has 2 sides. Both sides kind of come together, and they both will recline independently. So I was like, oh, well, of course, we got 2 motors, right? Well, no, there's a motor for the recliner. There's a motor for the back inflation, like lumbar support. There's a motor for the headrest. So, and that's on both of them. So now it's actually technically 6 motors that I need to be aware of. And also when it says keep in mind the cycles, right? We were thinking, oh, well, 450 cycles, that's a lot, right? That's going to get us through a few months before we have to charge. But, reclining and then bringing it back in at the end of the night, that's 2 cycles of one motor. If you did that for the lumbar and for the head, now you just did 6 cycles. If you did it, both of you did it at that same time, you're at 12 cycles, at one sitting, right? So we actually went with the middle because we don't plan to use it a lot, but we figured we didn't also want to have to recharge more than maybe every month.
So is that what you're finding? You charge it about
well,
every
and
month?
again, we only bought it last week, so I don't know, and we've only used it a few times, and I can tell that the little battery indicator is still totally full. But
okay, that's good.
I will have to see whether or not hopefully it lasts a month. That's my goal. If it at least lasts a month, I'm happy, because I don't mind once a month to kind of charge this battery.
And it recharges 6 to 7 hours. So, I mean, it's not
pretty
like
quick, overnight. Yep.
If it's once a month, you plug it up, let it go overnight, you're good for another month. Now, what I love, the standby time, meaning if it's not used at all, it's just sitting there. It's going to sit there for 15 months and still have the charge, which is great.
Yep.
So,
and that's again where you need to keep in mind, if you have a charging outlet in your recliner, maybe a little USB, and let's say you keep your charging cable, I have a feeling it's constantly taking a small trickle out, right? So that 15 months starts to go way down because it's constantly using power. Yeah. So we purposely bought a couch that did not have any of that because we figured, it really don't need anything else on the charging. But a lot of them have it now. They have it naturally built in. Right?
It has a little asterisk, probably hard to see on the screen there, real small, but just saying that, power reclining furniture with LED lights, speakers, USB ports, etc., will significantly reduce the battery life. So this chart's really just saying these are to power the motors that you would typically find in your furniture, reclining, lumbar, all that. You start adding, you can use this battery with a piece of furniture that provides USB charging and all that. Just know that that's going to drain this battery a lot quicker.
Right.
It's, instead of it being every month you charge it, it may be every week or two if you're using that charging capability pretty regularly.
Yep. So if you think about it, if I just sit down, recline, watch a movie, take the recliner back, it only worked for a total of 30 seconds through that entire piece, right? But if I had it plugged in, it's working for a couple hours, right? And it's just constantly draining. So something to keep in mind, but it is fantastic to get rid of the cord that's going across my was going across a walking area. It became a kind of a tripping hazard. So if you're somebody that's against the wall, you've got an outlet right behind, it doesn't matter. Maybe these are a little pricey. That was a $200 battery, the middle one. I think the top one is $300 something. And you can find much cheaper ones through Amazon. But I also wasn't quite sure. A lot of the reviews were pretty sketchy on it. So this company seems to be fairly reputable, and the furniture companies sell these, which made me think they're wanting to stand by it as well. So, but they're pricey. So use it if you're in a weird spot to where you don't want a cord going around.
So providing power to a piece of furniture that accepts power to allow you to do things like the motion, all the typical things you would expect to have with a reclining chair or anything with lumbar support. But getting power to that furniture also means that piece of furniture could, if it has the capability, act as its own powering station for other things or letting you charge your device. So some benefit to having power running into your sofa, your chair, or your recliner, whatever it may be, is good there. Now, there's a few other things, Brian, that I think we're going to start to see, we are already seeing in furniture, and it's going to continue, that still will require power to that piece of furniture. But some other capabilities that you can start to have with your furniture now is built-in lighting or built-in sound. And I'm going to kind of talk about these together because there'll be different applications for each one, but you're starting to see a lot more furniture coming out with some lighting elements built in already. A great example is talking about in a home theater type of couch, looking at the idea of let me bring up a window and show it, a cup holder, but a cup holder that is lit up. So in other words, It can either be, I've seen some that are like motion sensitive, like if it detects a motion nearby, it's going to light up. Others just stay lit up whenever the room is already dark. But either way, this is a simple item of something where, hey, you want to have a cup holder, but you're in a dark room watching a movie, it'll light up. It seems really simple, but just keep in mind all the mechanics behind this. This is yet another thing in your furniture that will require power to come to it. You could use the battery that you talked about if you wanted to battery power it, but it's going to run that battery down pretty significantly if this thing is lighting up all the time when you're near it or in a dark room. Accent lighting, it works the same way. You got some furniture now that saw a couch that's actually going to light up underneath to kind of give you some nice effect around the couch where you can see it in the dark, but yet it's not blaring light that's going to get in your way watching something.
Another good thing to have for a movie room, right? You've got people coming in the middle of a movie to in and out and not tripping, knowing where they are. The same thing that happens at the movie theaters now, right? The nice movie theaters, they have a little light around the cup holder because how many times have people tried to put them down awkwardly, spilled it, tripped on their way in. So to me, those things are great for like movie rooms. I think they're fantastic.
What I'm a big fan of is the idea of touch lighting on pieces of furniture, meaning the idea that some areas, parts of I've seen nightstands where just the kind of the ridge along the side of the nightstand, if you were to touch it, it could actually either trigger a light. If you've got a lamp plugged in and it's got a outlet plugged into the back of the nightstand to power that lamp, it could turn that lamp on automatically, or it may have its own accent lighting or strip lighting that you can touch, and just by touching it turns it on. All this is, the lighting is great for any kind of nighttime environments where you are sleeping, but you need to kind of get some light on quickly to see something, or you're getting ready to get up and you're in the middle of the night and you need to have your light on. Just touching a piece of furniture to have lights. It reminds me a lot of those touch lights that have been around for quite a while, where the actual casing of the light itself,
base of the light.
Was something you could touch. Well, they're building that into furniture now, that same capability. So it just means that you have a little more flexibility with how the lights come on by just touching the furniture instead of having to reach for the light itself or touching that lamp fixture or finding the power button for it. So so nice.
Let me give you another
there.
Just another really kind of quick use case on lighting. When we were looking at the sofas, and we weren't interested in something that was this kind of grand, but a lot of them have the ability to have reading lights built in too. So kind of the middle portion of the sofa where the two people are sitting on the ends, that lifts up, and then it has little down lights for reading. And if you think again that, that saves you having to put a lamp next to your couch, which is what a lot of us, have had to do over the years, right? Is, well, I'm sitting here, so I need light next to where I am so I can read from this particular location. But having a more directed, built into the sofa, I think can be helpful for some people that have that use case. Alan, I just want to mention though, keep in mind, and we'll keep kind of harping on this, but when it's something like a side table, and I see a lot of side tables like coffee tables or end tables. That have some power built in, whether it's lighting or the capability of having a plug built in. Just think about use case again, right? That is one where you're almost definitely going to want the cord. You're not going to want to put a battery on that, because anything that's used for is going to be a constant source of power, right? So the only reason we would have power in a side table would be for an outlet to plug something in, to charge, to have a light, to have maybe wireless charging. All of that is constant power, which means, sure, you can get a battery, not the same kind, right? They're not connections not the same. You could get a battery for that mounted underneath the piece of furniture. It's going to go super fast, and it's just not going to be worth it. So you still need to be thinking wired for that. So
it's just some things you got to really consider before you start rolling out furniture with its own power needs and technology built in. So lighting is going to be one thing. Let me go ahead and tell you one, Brian, that you're not going to be able to run off of power, but seeing more and more furniture with sound or speakers built in.
Yep.
And let me just show you, this is my favorite example to show a picture of what we're talking about here. Probably the most extreme view of what you could do with this. but this is speakers inside your furniture.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine inside the actual base of your couch. Speakers that can be connected, sometimes Bluetooth or other ways that can be connected to your sound equipment. You're watching TV, the sound can be routed into your couch or into your love seat, and
Into
you're
your
able
bones.
to feel the bass or the rumbling on the sound inside the couch that you're in. That's I got to admit, I've tried some out. They're really cool. They are great. They accentuate, it's not something where you're going to hear all the sound from your couch. I mean, you're still going to have other speakers because the sound coming out of the couch is still going to be a little more muffled. It's not going to be the best fidelity, but it accentuates or can add to whatever sound you're hearing anywhere else. It just makes a huge difference. So
it's probably going to be mostly the subwoofer type sound, right? Yeah, that's providing kind of the accents to what you're doing, right?
Yeah,
I can't imagine you'll get a lot of speech out of underneath.
No,
right? You're not going to be getting speech coming through.
They say it, you can, and I'm sure that for people who maybe if you're not as picky about your sound, you probably could make it work with just your furniture speakers. But I think people who really are looking for a good sound experience in their room are going to use speakers like that as more of a supplement to add more sound to their already natural sound environment they've got. It's pretty amazing to think about that all built into your piece of furniture. IKEA, if you go to IKEA or they make a lot of their own brand of furniture, of course, a lot of their furniture, they're starting to build in speakers into, whether it be lamps, whether it be
shelves,
furniture, shelves, just having those built-in Bluetooth speakers so that they act just like a Bluetooth device that you pull up on your phone or and beam your music to or beam anything else you want to it. And the fact that it's already built in means, yes, you're still going to have power that you need to power that piece of furniture up, but it's one less thing you got to worry about hooking up or wiring up. And it's always going to be there, always going to be fixing that piece of furniture. So some nice use cases for it. If you're someone who likes a little more flexibility with picking and choosing where speakers are going to be and all, may not be the best situation for you. But if you just want to have that capability right there available, a lot of those are getting built in now. And that's some good use of technology there.
Yeah. So IKEA has a connection with Sonos, right? And then some of their lamps and their shelves. I tell you, you mentioned it already, the idea of flexibility. I will just say my concern, and this is where I would suggest people really put some thought into any time that you have maybe two different elements blended together within a purchase, that think ahead about whether you ever want to split those two purchases up. And, for me saying, let me have the furniture that has the built-in speakers. One, I think you're going to be limited in the type of furniture you can get. So you're automatically into that, that brand, that style. And two, what happened, if I think of my furniture history, I don't think I've ever had a couch or a chair that has lived in one room all of its life. I've had one that then graduates to another place or to another location, and we got something else, so let's move that here. And just be thinking now both technologies are going together, right? The speakers have to go with it. And is that going to be a use case? So for me, I've never really enjoyed having two different use cases together. I do like the idea of adding things like power and add-ons to where you're going to need them. Like, a couch is always going to be reclining. If it has a recliner, that's what it does. So if you can add power to it, okay, right? If you're comfortable with that, because you're never going to separate them, right? But the speaker, that's where it gets to be a little challenging to me. It almost be like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a couch with the remote control built into the arm." Well, that means you're limited to that remote control forever, right?
I mean, you'll never lose the remote control.
You'll never lose it,
but you're always stuck with it there in that place.
That style.
I agree. Yeah. I've never been a fan of the sound built into your furniture because to me, that's one thing that you're not really going to be able to upgrade.
You lose control over, right?
You lose control over it. And then I got to imagine the repair cost or the having to fix it, the repairability is going to be a lot tougher.
Yep.
So it's not just as easy as saying, well, let's just go out and buy another speaker or whatever. No, it's pretty much, if you want that to work, it's going to be having to get in and repairing this large piece of furniture, however that may work. When it comes to the sound, I'm a little more, I want some more flexibility with it, but I'm with you on the charging and having plugs within your furniture. I think that's super convenient and super nice. Just earlier today, I was trying to work on my laptop and I wanted to work on sitting on a couch, and I'm like, well, gotta plug the plug across the room and make sure people don't come walking over and tripping. So it's great. I love it built in when it adds something that is a functionality that I was having to work around beforehand.
And it's a functionality that you would probably like to have wherever that couch goes in the future.
That's right. Yeah. Right? It doesn't matter what room that couch is in. That's going to be a piece of functionality. It's going to be good. Now, I do need to kind of caution. Doesn't really apply to the charging, but anytime we incorporate technology into something like furniture or something that, didn't have it before, all of a sudden you got a question too. Well, what if that technology were to break? Does that furniture then become unusable in any way? Now, charging, if you're having your USB charging or your phone or tablet charging, if that were to break, okay, the furniture's still good and usable. You're just now losing that functionality that you have to get fixed. But if you're depending on mechanical for reclining or for anything like that, well, then you do lose that functionality if the technology breaks. Don't really have that problem with the old pull handle on the side of the chair. I mean, that pretty much always works. And if it doesn't work, there's a simple, generally an easier way to fix it. The technology breaks, you're not going to be able to go into that couch very easily and fix it. So just another thing to be mindful of. Really I love technology in these things, but I think you do need to ask questions. Where am I going to get the power to it? How is that going to work? How's it going to look? What's going to happen if this technology breaks or stops functioning the way it should? Does this impair this furniture in any way? And like you alluded to earlier too, Brian, I think not every piece of furniture in style and design has technology built in. So are you going towards a piece of furniture that you would not want to have normally, but you're getting it because it has technology built into it? Is that really what you want to do? Is that really what's right for your space and your room? I'm not a big fan of the way they look sometimes when you got the big power outlets on the side or other ports. I mean, that's not a look I always want in my furniture. So you got to have to balance out. Is it worth the functionality, worth the advantages versus the trade-off in selection or appearance that you may get? So,
And I will say, having gone through this, what you mentioned was exactly right. In that I don't think I saw any options that were powered recliners that had a manual override. That had to say hey, I'm just going to turn off the power and use the switch to manually do it. None of them had that. So of course they love the furniture store loves this, right? Because now they have you. It's like, you've got to come to me to fix this. Now, okay, the flip side of that for people who are interested in that is that, okay, you also got to be thinking the use of power to do things like reclining also means that it's going to continue to work at the speed and the movement pattern that it's supposed to, right? Whereas sometimes the manual, the pulling of the handle, all this kind of stuff, you're potentially more likely to break it. Now, the electronics, you have more fail places in which that can go wrong. But there's some pros and cons, but you're absolutely right. I wish there was a manual override. I wish I could just turn the power off and say, you know what, we're just going to manually recline from now on or whatever, but not possible. So you're kind of stuck with it for sure. Make sure you like the couch and like it without the recliner if you're going to do that. So, all right.
Well, and the same goes for any other piece of furniture, I think.
Right.
Depending on your personal taste, I mean, design, and you got to balance out design, appearance, and functionality. Where does it really fall? Are you going to gain something from adding technology into this piece of furniture that's really going to enhance your situation without impacting the way that your room looks and functions and acts and all too? So, well, Brian, in those situations where, and we were just saying that maybe sometimes your options were a little limited on what you could do furniture wise, that would also incorporate technology. Well, let's talk more about what is technology allowing us to do on the custom side with furniture, because there are some advancements now in what we can do that we couldn't have done years ago when it comes to furniture. And, I think you were going to talk about 3D printing. What,
Yeah, a little bit.
How does that factor in?
Well, so for everybody, I'm sure has heard of 3D printing, and many of us have probably seen kind of use cases of it. Early on, 3D printing was all about kind of small trinket items. You could print out something really small to be able to use some sort of, widget that would be useful in a particular area. And there's no reason I could reprint a piece that broke off of a device. But the 3D printing has become larger and larger. These printers are allowing you to create big things these days. I even saw one of the first 3D printed houses where all the components of the house were 3D printed and basically, then put together. And you're making, you're remaking things that need to be done in a custom way, and that's becoming a lot cheaper to do. So as you see here, Alan brought up that there's some creative ways in which very cool looking furniture can be made with 3D printing. Now, a lot of what we're going to show you here probably doesn't look like the most comfortable stuff in the world. But if you think about style, if you think about, hey, I want something minimal there, maybe outdoor furniture, something that won't, be problematic with weather, could be printed out of a kind of a hard plastic or something that could be used. And I want it to be exactly like this. There are ways that can be custom done now, as compared to, take this same style that you're seeing on here and saying before you'd have to create that out of wood, right? And have someone spend a lot of money in order to do something this creative, that now you can potentially get done with 3D printing. Now, it's still going to be expensive because someone is having to pay for the use of this 3D printer, which are not cheap, some of the large ones. But I love how we're using technology to potentially allow us more flexibility in the creation of things like this, tables and desks and that are going to be, at least the components of them potentially created very specifically and not having to go through a huge manufacturing process to be able to do that. So I think that's another place that technology is kind of coming in play.
Just think about the idea of, okay, I need a coffee table, but I need one exactly this wide to fit in my space. And now, what we're limited with before 3D printing or some of these more flexible manufacturing options, you go to the store and you find the closest one you can get of these 6 items, and whichever one is the best fit is the one you go with. Or you keep searching and searching and searching, looking for that perfect one and maybe never finding it. 3D printing is going to allow us to say, all right, you want this style table, but you want it exactly this width. You want it 47.5 inches wide and no more. You could actually get that spec'd out and built. Cost is still going to be a factor. Like you said, it's still a new process. It's still fairly expensive to get these made custom, but give that versus not having the piece of furniture you need or the size you need. It's
the flexibility of the custom element is so much higher, right? We have the ability to be truly flexible in that. I mean, it just, as you said, if that chair that's on the center of your screen right now, if you said, well, you could have that chair and you could have it 31 inches tall, 32 inches tall, 33 inches tall, you tell us how tall you want it. Tell us, how wide you want it. If it's fitting a specific person, a child, an adult, how big do you want the bucket seat to be? I mean, those are things digitally that can just be tweaked on a diagram that could then be spit through a 3D printer and create the actual kind of down to the millimeter dimensions that you need. So I think that's really cool.
And we should clarify, you're not 3D printing a soft, fluffy couch. Okay.
Right.
This is all still using the material that 3D printing uses to kind of make solid pieces. I think you're talking more outdoor solid chairs, seats like you're talking about. You're talking more, tables and stands and other things that are hard surfaces, because it's using this material that's going to be kind of compressed hard material.
Right.
together. But I mean, that's a foundation for
kind of cool.
a lot of furniture. So you can do a lot with that. So I think the 3D printing is going to be really cool for a lot of custom work that people are going to want to have done. The cost will come down over time. I mean, as 3D printing becomes a more cost-effective way of producing things, which that's the whole purpose behind it, is so things can be produced more economically and quicker and more on demand. But you're still talking about a niche market for people making these. So it's going to cost more to get it made. But Brian, you were also wanting to show something with regards to foldable components and storage.
Yeah, and I will say this is a bit off of what we think normally when we think technology. But I bring this up as a way that furniture has also kind of been tweaked a little bit. And there, of course, is technology here. It's just that it's not a powered device. It was technology really to kind of create this. But we recently had an issue by moving into a new house to where we needed furniture in a small room to be used as a guest bedroom, but we didn't want to take up this entire small room with a decent sized bed. Now you may be thinking, well, you've got lots of things like futons, right? They can be a couch folded into a bed. You've got Murphy beds, you've got blow up beds, you've got air mattresses, that sort of thing, a lot of which can utilize technology. I just wanted to show you an example, and I thought this was incredibly creative.
I've got it here. I'll pull it.
You got it. Okay. Great. Yeah. So this was exactly what we bought. And of course it's fairly pricey. But look at what it did for us, right? We've got this cabinet now in our room that looks like a cabinet, looks like a big chest, kind of a really pretty looking piece of equipment there, a piece of furniture. But it also then transforms to a bed. So as you can see, you pull out the bottom tray, that makes the base. You flip down the base that your mattress is going to be on, and then it has a foldable memory foam mattress. And that's the other beauty of things like mattresses, memory foam, and that it can actually be carved up, made into a foldable version, and you don't recognize the issue there because there's no springs, right? You can have these divisions. So this is another example where I think, it's a different kind of technology. This is more of the creative technology to say, how are we going to create new versions of things? But I think that's the other cool part of where technology has changed a little bit. You can see Murphy beds, that would have even electronics built into them to where it can lower down from the wall. So I think that even though that's a bit of a stretch with the world of tech, I think, thinking about how furniture can be adapted to be more custom and more useful. And I've seen versions of this that have built-in power and have built in so that when it becomes a bed and then the cabinet opens up, there's charging ports in there. There's overhead lights that now come for reading lights at night. It allows all of that to kind of be worked together. So that's just kind of another cool example of how, technology, which of course we think furniture is kind of that last frontier for me, and that we always think that the simpler, the better. The older, the better, right? We have things that were made really, really well. And I've always kind of resisted some technology in my furniture because I do like really quality, well-made things. But now I'm seeing even good quality things that are starting to integrate some of these add-ons, which I think is really helpful. So it's exciting.
I agree. It is. So Brian, I thought maybe to kind of wrap this episode up, what I'd like to do here. I know Christmas is still a little ways away, but I thought it might be a good time to give you some ideas of what I would personally be interested in with regards to furniture. Some things I think that would be good. Yeah.
Wait a minute. We're buying each other gifts. Okay. We're starting that.
I'd like to start that now. I'm going to show you what I'd like.
Okay. Hit me. All right.
Okay. This might set you back a little bit, but to me, this is the ultimate use of technology into one piece of furniture here. This is a true smart desk by Tabula Sense. Look at everything this desk. Okay, the desk looks pretty simple from the outside, right? But let's go through and talk about all the ways it's incorporating technology in. It has got wireless charging built into the desk.
Nice.
So that means you can set your phone down if it's capable of wireless charging. and it will charge your phone on the desk. Great. So it's built in that. The Bluetooth speakers are built into the desk as well. So you can actually Bluetooth right into your desk to have the speakers with some nice sound performance there. There's your USB hubs on the side. Okay. So right there in the front. So you just pop them in. You got your hubs and you can plug that. Your computer can be plugged into your desk, and anything you plug in that hub will show up on your computer and so forth. All right. My favorite, the induction beverage warmer built into the desk.
Now you got me.
Okay.
Now you got me.
So basically this will help you stay warm with your mug sitting on your desk. Right.
That's great.
And the whole desk is adjustable as well, height adjustable legs. So Brian, this is what I'd like. I figure if I told you that now, like a good 8 or 9 months in advance of Christmas, that it gives you some time to kind of prepare, manage your finances however appropriately to make sure you can afford this for me at Christmas.
Can you slide all the way back up again to the very top? Because I don't know my conversion off the top of my head, but is 2,990 pounds? Does that equal what, like $30?
I think it's like $30, $35. Yeah. So you should be able to get this. No problem. Just Brian, just go ahead and buy it and it'll deal with the conversion on the back end. So just
okay.
Don't
So I don't need to convert in advance.
Don't worry about dollars. Yeah. It'll convert to dollars on your credit card or whatever you pay it with.
Wow.
No, in all seriousness, this I thought was just
that's really cool.
Again, the idea of taking a lot of technologies, putting them into one piece of furniture, and still having a very nice looking furniture. I mean, it's not like this is a really bad looking piece of furniture incorporating technology. It's done it in a very tasteful way. Let me show you a couple more things I just thought were some interesting uses of furniture incorporating technology. Here we've got one that is a mirror. It is called the open mirror, and it basically is a giant mirror that you look at, but then it has that slide out side, bottom of it, where if you push it to the side, it slides out, and it's actually got a place where you can have your phone or other charging sitting right there as well. Plus, it'll also let you play music through it if you have your phone in there and the music is piping into it. So it's kind of making that mirror even a smart piece of technology, a smart piece of furniture. You've got works through Bluetooth again, just like a lot of furniture pieces are. It'll recharge your device if you slide out that little bottom part. So, if you imagine you're in front of the mirror, if you're somebody that uses a mirror to get ready and whatever it may be, but you also want to have the phone there for keeping it on something, or you're watching something on the phone, or maybe you're doing a FaceTime with somebody and you actually want to be able to talk with them while you're in front of the mirror too. You can do all of that. So just a nice little piece of use of that.
I have to say, I'm amazed that they didn't also put like a backlight on it, right? It seems like with something like a mirror, right? The lighting.
There's a light behind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's
the actual mirror itself does have a backlight shining on the wall.
I was going to say, you've got power. You better be adding a light to the mirror. Okay.
There you go. Yep. So the open mirror has 2 operating modes. In standby mode, the mirror is closed, but then it is enlightened by a thin light indicating where the shape will be decomposed. In play mode, it's open. The lower part glows, indicating where the music controls are. So yeah,
very cool.
So that was neat. And now let me show one more. Again, I'm just giving you a lot of holiday options.
This is all drool worthy. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, this is an example of what we were talking about already, incorporating a lot of the same stuff we were already saying, putting it into like kind of a home theater sofa, the actual smart sofa, the ultimate home theater experience, they say. I cannot attest to it. I have not used one of these sofas. But what I did like about this, kind of in addition to everything we've already been doing, it's got rumble vibration in the seats itself that will tie into your theater system. So it's not just music or sound coming in. It's actually giving you a 4D experience, kind of like what you see in some of those theme parks where they have the places you go in the theaters and the seats will move and shake based on what's happening on the screen. You can actually have that built into your own couch now. Along with the 4D experience, it has built-in home automation with Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa into the sofa, a wireless phone charger on the actual side of the couch, which is nice. Meaning you don't have to worry about finding a super flat surface somewhere to do it. Just set it on the edge of your your armrest there, and you have wireless charging going on. And you can get it in an armchair, 3-seat or 4-seat sofa. So again, going ultimate with a smart sofa, one that would actually have Alexa or Google built in, has that 4D experience with your home theater. And you can do all the, of course, the lighting control and everything else from it that you want, and the built-in charging on the armrest. Again, just kind of really maxing out the use of technology on the one piece of furniture here. So again,
Alan, do you know anything about where it said the 4D experience? Is that, I'm assuming that has to be Bluetooth, so it become its own Bluetooth speaker in a way, right? I mean, did it say anything about I assume it's wireless. It's got to be, you're not going to be running an HDMI cord to it or something.
No, and I think it's all still running Bluetooth. So, I mean, I think you actually take your home theater TV screen or player, and you use this as a Bluetooth device that's connected to it. So it's doing a form of sound and speakers. It's just really focusing on, I think, the bass and the vibrations and trying to kind of time that with your
that's really cool.
So, yeah. Again, I have not got to use it. Brian, I will be happy with any of these 3 items that you decide to get for me. I can find uses for all 3 of them. I think they'd be great additions to the house. And just so glad you asked me to share with you some Christmas ideas on this show. Yeah. I'm happy to do so. So, there's 3.
I'm thinking of potentially knockoff versions of several of them, a mirror that I can just put a cord back behind and have you charge your phone.
A couch where
we'll work something out, right?
A couch where just one of my boys has to sit in the back and just shake it.
And vibrate it.
Something happens on the movie screen. Yeah.
This is an important time. Shake.
Yeah. Shake. There's a building's falling. Hurry. Shake the couch.
Well, I will say of all 3 of those, the part that really excites me would be the desk. Because the desk is the place where I have so many cords, so many things that are unsightly that I'm trying to cover up because I want all of this technology together, that to find ways of charging wirelessly, or, I have a coffee warmer over here that is not a very attractive looking thing, but I love it because I can keep my mug on it and keep it warm, to have that built in. Yeah, so that's good stuff.
I love that desk. That desk is awesome. Now, granted, it probably, breaks after a few weeks and it's like near impossible to repair. And anyway, but whatever. I'm being a pessimist.
Those are going to be great. They're great few weeks though, right?
Oh, they would be. It's totally worth the whatever number of pounds that was on the screen. I don't remember now.
$30.
$30. Yeah. For your perfect. Well, that's some uses of furniture, how furniture is incorporating the technology. I mean, I think we could really sum it up. It's all down to, as far as the furniture itself, furniture that provides power for other charging devices, furniture that allows you to charge devices, standard USB ports or other lightning ports that allow you to charge your devices very easily, incorporating light, incorporating sound into your pieces of furniture, something that you normally have to get your own other pieces to do. The idea that they could be incorporated into the furniture as one piece could be a really nice fit for somebody's home. And then the whole shopping experience and even designing your own furniture experience is definitely changing with technology. It's going to make it, I think, easier to shop for furniture. I think it's going to make it less hassle. And I think whenever the 3D printing really starts to gain a lot of mainstream attention for furniture, I think we're going to see a lot more coffee tables, end tables, dining room chairs, any kind of table surface being made 3D printed to perfect specifications could be could really change the game for a lot of furniture. So
I mean, think about having the AR app that you pull up and say, "Here's the style, here's my space." It scans it and says, "Great, we'll give you the perfectly sized version of that." Right, 3D printed and all of that. So I think there's some really cool combinations. So that's great.
Well, the furniture business industry is still growing as always, but especially I think it has been with more homes and more home booms going on. And then technology is obviously accelerating the two, or just going to keep colliding. And I think we're going to see a lot of integration between the two. So, all right. Well, Brian, if anybody else has some of their own furniture tech ideas or wish list on things that they'd love to see furniture do more of from a technology standpoint, how can they get those to us?
Well, so you can email us at info@themesh.tv. You can tell us a little bit about the furniture that you'd like to recommend, or the new frontier of the furniture that you'd like to have us talk about. You can also go to our website, which is www.brothers-n-tech.com. And that's where you'll be able to pick up or get to our old previous versions of the podcast, previous episodes, but you'll also start to see some links that we'll put in for technology that's being mentioned, or some things that we aren't even touching on the episodes, but want to be able to give you some more info. So those are the ways to get in touch with us. Alan and I also are happy to take donations of things like the Smart Desk to the show, so we can test that out. And
if anybody has an extra Smart Desk laying around,
if you've got one laying around, right? Yep.
We're happy to help take it off your hands.
Yep. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. And the makers of that, if you'd like us to try it and then show it off to the rest of the world, we'd be happy to talk with you about that as well. So, all right, info@themesh.tv. We look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Furniture Tech talking here on Brothers in Tech, and we will be back next week with another episode. I think next episode is our next upcoming Brothers in Tech suggestions episode, our bits episode.
Yes.
So we'll look forward to sharing our suggestions. Brian and I both bring at least one recommendation, maybe two. We'll see how we're feeling to the table to share with you as far as any type of technology that we're into now that we're really wanting to recommend people check out. That'll be our next episode. But until then, thanks for watching tonight, and we will look forward to talking to everybody next time. Take care.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.